Ever since the dawn of democracy, nature expects that whenever a president visits another independent country or state, he or she receives a warm welcome, one that will glue the country's image to his or her mind. There was, however, an interesting turn of events when the Ugandan president, His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, also known as himself, toured Kenya, more specifically Kenyatta University. The young African scholars spent no efforts in hiding how they felt about the Ugandan boss, even if it meant tarnishing the image of their university. In unison, they labeled him dictator and chanted the name of his only worthy political competition, Bobi Wine. Despite all this, he made it to the amphitheater where he delivered a 1-hour speech that really hit the spot. And don't forget, this was happening simultaneously with demonstrations outside.
Africa is the origin of man. Africa is the pioneer for civilization.
You'd be really surprised at how amazing Museveni's agenda at Kenyatta University was, especially to the young African youth who are the future of the continent. So in a segment called Looking Beyond the Beef, I shall be bisecting Museveni's speech and mining specific golden points that, if executed, would really go a long way in helping the continent rise. But before we get into that, this is Crim Pictorials. I have to post photos of people who are really attentive during the lecture. So let's get into it. Cool, right? Anyway, from his speech we learn that he is an evolutionist, and according to studies, evolutionists normally have cool stuff running in their heads. He is also not afraid of racial tension, as I will show you in his speech. He also believes that Africa should possess the most power since it is the origin of mankind. He also believes that Africa is lagging behind, and I agree with him because other countries have had at least 2 industrial revolutions, and this is allowing them to look into things like artificial intelligence, while according to Museveni, Africa missed the first industrial revolution. And I strongly believe that African resources are being exploited and controlled by external powers because Africa itself doesn't have the industrial capability of turning rubber into tire, of turning coffee berries into coffee.
Oh, whoa! What's that little bauble you got back there? That's interesting.
That is our glowing rock. We carry it with us for desecration, to remind us there are no gods.
Kids, weird pitch. Let's have this be our new life. Let's be post-apocalyptic scavengers!
Okay.
What?
Moving on, Museveni also believes that Africa has terrible political influence. That means that the word of the African government doesn't really mean that much to the world. This translates to other powers doing whatever they want in Africa and Africa having no say about it. He also believes that Africa is being divided by external powers. And remember, they first divided Africa, then colonized it. You know what the best way of dividing a continent is? It is dividing them according to their tribes. And that is exactly what happened. There are also international laws that don't allow one country to get involved in another country's internal affairs. So if one country is fighting amongst itself, it becomes difficult for another country to intervene and help. So what is the way forward? According to Museveni, Pan-Africanism is, but how? That can be done through economic unity of countries, social unity, and political unity. Now I want to get into the next segment of this video, which is the golden moments that I sort of mined and modified from Museveni's speech. But before that, I need you to take a listen to something and let it really sink in.
The tragedy of Nigeria began in 1986 when we did the structural adjustment program. When we were persuaded to devalue our currency every week for 32 years. When I went to school, and many of you are here, the naira was $1.50. The naira was almost £1 sterling. They came here, persuaded some brilliant men from Harvard and the World Bank that weekly devaluation was wonderful. 32 years of devaluing your currency until we hit 527. And they were still telling us that the naira was still overvalued. That brought poverty, misery upon us.
So now I hope that the intentions of this video are clear as daylight. I'm going to play you the modified Museveni speech, the key points that I thought were important for Africa. If you however find the speech unbearable, you are welcome to skip to the 14th minute of this video.
But I'm just touching on the main points. Africa is the origin of man. Africa is the pioneer for civilization. But they left about 100,000 years ago, and when they went into the cold climates of the north, they had no need for melanin, so eventually they lost the black pigmentation. And that's how you get all these different colors. The yellow, the Chinese, the whites, the Europeans, the brown, the Indians, and the Chinese had to adapt more specifically to their climate there, to have small eyes. So you have poverty in the era of affluence. And where is it found? In Africa. Underdevelopment, you still find it in Africa. And yet, certain parts of the world have gone through 3 industrial revolutions. The first revolution was the invention of the steam engines, the use of steam engines. The second revolution was electricity and the rail transport. And the third revolution was the use of electronics in the 1960s. The third revolution. We are now entering the 4th revolution of artificial intelligence, where intelligent machines are threatening to replace the human beings in the workplace. Now, all this is going on, but Africa is still underdeveloped. The other time the Europeans attacked Libya, Africa objected, but the Europeans ignored Africa and went on and attacked Libya. And as you hear, Libya is now in chaos up to today. And that chaos of Libya has spread to the rest of the Sahel region, to Niger, to Mali, to Burkina Faso, to Cameroon, to Nigeria. And this was on account of something we advised the Europeans not to do, but they ignored us and went ahead and did it. This is political marginalization. You can read those reasons. There are reasons why Africa, first of all, was colonized, and why it has lagged behind for so long. But one of them, which I could mention, was that while Africa had scored many firsts, as I told you, one of the weaknesses was political balkanization. We did not have a unified, government. You would have clans controlling small areas, sometimes some kingdoms, small kingdoms.
And as you know, Africa is very huge. Africa is about 12 million square miles. However, Africans do not die easily. This is one good quality of the Africans. They have got all sorts of problems, but dying, they don't die easily.
Because now, you can say problem like in Somalia. That problem can be solved. But because we are not allowed by law, international law, to go there because this is another country, we can't do anything. We just watch. If you try to go there, you are interfering in the internal affairs of another country. The other day when you were fighting here, among yourselves, you wanted to come out, but you can't go because that's another country. Strategic security will come through political integration. But number 5, and finally, is the question of the people we are uniting, economically and politically. Who are they? These are people who are the same, who are similar or linked. You hear those confused people talking about different tribes of Africa. But in reality, if you study the language groups, in Africa there are only 4 language groups. We must work for the economic integration of the whole of Africa. Not because I love Africans. Even if I didn't care about them, I only cared about Wanyankore. For the sake of their prosperity. Wacha huyu mtoto anacheka wayangu. So, in order to ensure the prosperity of our people, we had to work for the economic integration of East Africa, of Africa. It's really amazing how people can be blind. You take a country like India, or even China. Let's start with China. China has got a land area of 3 million square miles. It has got a population of 1.3 billion. So they have got a big internal market of 1.3 billion people. However, that internal market is not enough. That's why China is dying to export to the US. You have seen the war between the US and China. You are selling more to me than I'm selling to you. So you can see China with an internal sure market of 1.3 billion. In order to ensure the prosperity of its people, that internal market is not enough. Also the English. You know the English are not very good at proverbs. But they have one good one. It says, procrastination is the thief of time. When you delay too much, you may miss your target.
But you should also be discussing it among yourselves here. Okay, I know you are talking about football and music and watching, but also talk about your future, about your destiny as the future of Africa. So on the issue of economic or political federation, one of the options should be, if some of the members are not yet ready for some reason, then let those which are ready go ahead, rather than be paralyzed.
Wow, if you have made it this far without forwarding, I really appreciate that. You are really committed. Thanks. So you have heard his speech. Now what? I'm sure you know that just listening to it won't help. It is the small steps that matter. And obviously, as an African youth, I don't expect you to have any political influence unless your father is a president or something. You definitely can do something for your continent. What I mean is, economic stimulation is possible for you. If the economic pillars of Africa become strong, sooner or later the political pillars will also follow through. I am currently working on a video on how the African youth can boost their economy, and it is as simple as just being different from the rest of the world. Small baby steps on that video will help this continent a great deal if it is executed, that is. So stay tuned for that. While you wait to hear from me again, make sure that anything you do, If it is not helping the motherland, then don't do it.